Good morning, good evening, depending upon what part of the world you're in. If it's Friday, it is the CEO series where we bring together the most important guests from across the leaders from across the globe, and they have the opportunity to walk us through their career journey. Our guest today is a longtime friend, Tim Collins, semi-retired HR executive, 30 years experience with Procter Gamble, IBM. He's now an HR executive consultant with Craft HR Solutions and an active board member, community leader, and advocate for talent and culture excellence. And the last time we were together, we had lunch at Grand Central Station, probably around 2006, 2007. And I think you left right after that and transitioned over to the next phase. So, welcome. How are you today?
Ron, I couldn't be better, and I'm sorry for the barking, but my dog heard a strange noise, which was the audio.
Okay.
So he's now in my lap, and he'll be fine.
Okay, cool. So, we'd always like to start the show to get a sense of you have worked with major brands from P&G to IBM, starting from here to there to where you are now. Give us kind of a quick overview of that transition.
Well, I'll talk most about P&G. I spent 20 years there, and it was a great place to grow and learn. P&G taught me how to do business writing.
Yeah.
Nothing gets done there unless you can write effectively.
Okay.
And there's a very clear pattern, which I adopted and I use to this day. But what distinguishes P&G? Quality, care, care for it's okay. Care for the environment, care for consumers. So, for example, Pampers. Why? Who's the customer? Mother and child. And why do mothers love Pampers? Because they don't leak.
Okay.
Hey, it's okay, buddy. I'm right here. I'm holding you. Sorry.
That's okay.
Bandit is my therapy dog.
Yeah.
He protects me, and he heard a noise in the hallway, so he's trying to protect me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So P&G was a beautiful place to be. And I transitioned from P&G to IBM in 2003 when P&G signed an HR outsourcing deal with IBM, and IBM took over the Procter Gamble HR service centers around the globe. And I was running the Newcastle service center in England, which serviced all of Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Okay. So you lived in UK for a period of time, right?
We lived in the UK between 2003 and 2006.
Okay. You know what I find interesting? When you think about the employee experience, in other words, people stay at a company because they enjoy working at a company.
Yes.
Your story in talking about being there for 20 years.
Yes.
This is my thought. That probably will never happen again.
I'm sorry to say I agree.
Yeah, but with someone coming out of university and they're getting in a company, they're going to stay there until they're 40-some plus years old. Probably will not happen again. What's missing? Why is that not working today? Or has it worked before?
It's because employees don't give a shit, pardon my language, about their employees. I stayed at Procter & Gamble because they loved me and treated me with care.
Okay.
I have a liberal arts degree.
Okay.
And one of my favorite jobs was to run research and development recruiting for Procter & Gamble in the United States. There had never before been anything but a scientist or engineer to run that program.
Okay.
And they loved me because I cared and I listened. And I learned about what motivates them.
Okay.
And the same was true for IBM.
Mm-hmm.
I had one awesome job doing leading negotiation for mergers and acquisitions. It's the hardest job I've ever had.
I can imagine.
I pulled more all-nighters than I ever have, even before when I was in college. And why? Because the work that I did meant success or failure.
Okay.
And I'm not overstating that. Our IBM CFOs had the unfortunate the tradition of saying, we're closing this deal by December 31.
Yeah.
Well, for 6 years, I worked every Thanksgiving and every Christmas because there were so many details to work out.
I can only imagine.
Vestiges, but
Mm.
it is work that I loved
Mm.
because the work I did was so central
Yeah.
to employee care and success.
Okay. So you mentioned employee care, success, people.
Yeah.
What's organizations missing now? Is it the people side that they
All they
don't
care
get?
about is money.
All they care about is
All
money.
they care. The words are there.
Yeah.
People are our most important asset. That is a lie. The only thing that matters is profit and shareholders and senior executives. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to say.
Yeah.
That's particularly true at IBM.
Yeah. Hmm.
P&G, it's not the case. They have fallen down in some respects,
Yeah.
particularly in HR.
Hmm.
So Procter Gamble requires its retiring employees to enroll in United Healthcare Medicare Advantage because it's cheaper for them.
For them. Okay. That's that's an entirely different
It
story
is.
that we go
It is.
through, and we don't have
But
enough.
P&G still has a lot of love
Yeah.
and care for their employees and for consumers.
So one of the things you mentioned, so you go to any company's website, it says people are our greatest asset. And I deal with a lot of CEOs and boards and all that kind of things. That's it. Are you living that? If I were to go outside with a microphone and go to one of your employees and say, does this company exemplify what they said on their website? I'm sure the vast majority of the time I'm going to get a no.
You are correct. That's my
Absolutely
point of
not.
view as well.
Yeah.
And isn't that an indictment of who we are or what we've become? It's not who we are. Well, it is who we are.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I saw that. I saw someone mention that the other day. Say, yes, stop it. That is who we are. So let me ask you this. So if I'm the CEO of a company and I really want to live up to my words or the verbiage we have on the website, and every C-suite person will always end but to praise people are our greatest asset. How could we live, eat, breathe, and sleep that down to 1,500, 20,000, or whatever it is?
Yeah. The best example I can think of, Ron, right away is Costco. Costco
Yes.
got huge pressure from activist investors to change their values around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they essentially said, go to hell.
Go to hell. I saw that when I read that. I said, thank you for standing up, because your employees felt that. I just noticed this morning that Apple is saying the same
Yes.
thing. We're
Yes.
not.
They're stopping AI news.
We're not. We're not.
AI news, AI can be a positive. There's a great guy named Christian Ortiz who has a product called Ethical AI. Look him up. He
Okay.
is a dear friend, and his mission in life is to make AI ethical. And he says he's right. It's not ethical because, number one, it's used to make money. And number two, humans wrote AI code, and humans are racist, xenophobic, sexist.
All the other things that pop into.
So when you use it in a like you use it in a values, like denying healthcare claims, that's unethical.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be a force for good, and Christian is on a mission to help
Yeah.
it be a force for good.
Okay. I'm going to follow that up. Where do those feelings come from? What you're talking about now, was that grounded in growing up? I know you
Yes.
consistently mentioned your father, values, and all those kind of things. Walk us through that.
My father is my hero in life. His name is Francis Patrick Collins, but he went by F. Patrick. He was embarrassed by his name, and he got teased for it because his friends said, "Oh, that's a girl's name." He went by F. Patrick, or informally Pat. My dad was a godly man. He showed his values by his behavior. And I watched and learned. And in the last 3 weeks, I put those values down on paper. I call them Bedrock Values.
Yeah.
And they are: love your church, always. Love your country, always, even though it doesn't love you.
Mm.
Now, he didn't know that.
Yeah. During his era, yeah.
He said, do the right thing, always. Stand up for what you believe, always. Protect the downtrodden, the poor, the immigrant, the teased. He said, if I ever catch you treating a server, a busboy, a street sweeper without respect, I will throttle you.
Mm.
As a kid, I would watch him. He talked to everybody. It embarrassed me. Dad, why are you talking to the busboy? And I said, because he's a human being.
Yeah.
He deserves the right to respect.
Mm.
And then finally, my dad said, stand up for what you believe and never give up.
Mm.
There is nothing you can't accomplish with effort and with attention and with care.
Wow.
So I didn't know at the time. I've only put this down on paper a month ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because these values have been the bedrock of my life. That's why I chose bedrock. It's unbreakable. I have never broken my values.
Yeah. Mm.
And it didn't help me at Procter & Gamble because I was too nice.
Okay.
The view was you have to be mean to be a vice president.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it didn't help me at all in IBM because everybody was mean. But I got great results. So they paid me well.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the key, because if you look at, I read a research paper that the higher the level of engagement, the better the numbers are going to be on the other side. I say the numbers are going to be on the other side. In other words, business performance. You treat the people, but I'm saying if you treat your people
Yes.
yeah, the right way, it's going to translate into business performance, organizational health. But and sometimes when I give a speech or something and I'm talking to these people and they're on their phones, and then I'm like, you need to listen to, but when you talk to them, they're in the ethers of strategy and all these kind of things. It has to be done through people.
It has to be two-way.
Yeah.
You cannot demand loyalty if you do not give it.
Yeah.
Now at P&G, they expect loyalty and they get it. At IBM, they get loyalty from technology people because IBM is a technology machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And has had their success is their technology.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. So when you talk about those bedrock values, when did that come into play? Because one of the things I say when someone tells a story like that is, I said, that was a PhD in learning and you did not realize it.
Yeah.
Because it anchored you through life.
You know, as I was living my life, I knew that my dad is my hero because he lived an authentic, loving life. So I'm like, I have to do that.
Yeah.
I so admire him, the way he made people feel that they were a person, that they were loved, that they mattered.
Yeah.
So it wasn't hard for me to do that. I wasn't able to put it into words until recently because I've done a lot of self-reflection recently. And anyway.
You know, that's interesting that you talk about the anchor of your dad. And one of my New Year's resolutions was to start, which I've never done. I said I was going to start writing more because a lot of things are bubbling around and all those kinds of things. And I was thinking this morning, I got up and I was thinking this morning about a situation. And I was thinking, I said, what would my father have done?
Yeah.
Because my father was the business person. My mother was the caring person.
You just called me out. I was just going to say, I have not talked about my mother. My mother is boundless love. My mother was emotion. My mom had a very hard life because she had multiple sclerosis. And right when she and my dad got married, in 4 years, she had 8 miscarriages
Whoa.
because of the disease.
Yeah.
So so my parents adopted my sister, who was my best friend. And 2 years later, all of a sudden, the doctors told her, you cannot get pregnant physically because of the damage these miscarriages have done to your body. But 2 years later, after my sister was adopted, my mom got a kidney infection. And that kidney infection turned out to be me. At my mother's funeral, I delivered the eulogy in a Roman Catholic church. The Roman Catholic Church hates me because I'm an abomination. I'm gay.
Yeah.
So I said, I said from the pulpit, from in front of 250 family and friends, I said, my mother, I was a pain in her side from the first day, and I have never stopped being a pain. My family and my friends laughed because they know it's true.
Yeah.
Priest across the way scowled at me and gave me, I am going to kill you. And I said, no, not really.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw you out of this church. And I gave him a look back and said, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Asshole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
I
apologize.
No, that's okay. Because what I was saying from my side was the fact that I started thinking about writing again, and some of the things kept popping up. Because I mentioned to you earlier, I said that was a PhD without you learning, without you paying for a degree. And my upbringing was the same. My father's from the business side, that was an MBA. My mother from the other side, that was a carrying kind of degree. And these are anchors. You don't realize that in growing up, but it comes into you in spurts later on. And this morning was a lot of time on reflection. For some reason, I got up at 4:30 in the morning and started kind of piddling around, getting set up for this. But it's important that we reflect. You reflected. You were able to walk through those things. So here's a situation I want to put you into. You are speaking to a group of senior executives at a conference. What would be some key points that you would make to them about running their business, carrying? I don't want to give you pointers, but what would be some key points that you would talk to them?
I would say don't just speak the values, live them. I would say, who gives a damn where your employees went to school? What do they know? I went to a liberal arts college that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. Some people I've heard of. It's Transylvania, founded in 1780.
Yeah.
When Thomas Jefferson was governor of Virginia, and it gave me a great education. It's a liberal arts college.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned chemistry and physics and ideas in Culture West and philosophy and English. I sang in the choir. I was president of every organization there. My grades were not good because I had side jobs. And I was bored with classes like cost accounting. Oh my God, so boring. The only D I've ever gotten in my life was in cost accounting because I found it so miserably routine.
Yeah.
And didn't utilize any of my brain. Well, I used the analytical side, but it was so soulless.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So what other advice would I give? Know your people. Know about their lives, their whole lives.
Mm-hmm.
Know about their family. Know about if their children are having trouble.
Yes.
Care about people, and they will deliver. One of the biggest compliments, Ron, I have ever gotten in my life was in a performance review at IBM. I ran a global M&A transaction. And someone, I don't know who, on my team wrote to my boss and said, I would walk through a wall for Tim Collins
Oh my goodness.
because he cares about results, but he cares about me.
Mm,
It's not just the numbers, it's
yeah.
me.
Yeah. That's
I think that came from a lovely, I don't know, Lee Hong,
yeah.
Lee Hong, who is lives in Singapore,
Okay.
and I would walk through a wall for her too.
Mm. That's what you call, and then this is going to take us back a ways, the good housekeeping seal of approval.
Yeah,
I mean, when
yeah.
someone,
There's a really funny story with Lee Hong. Um, um, her native language is not English, and there's an expression. I have. I care for you from the bottom of my heart.
mm,
Lee Hong messed up the English and said, I care for you from the heart of my bottom. And this happened 15 years ago.
yeah,
She knew immediately that she had done the wrong thing, said the wrong thing.
yeah,
We have laughed about it.
yeah,
I haven't seen her since I left IBM, and even
mm,
before that,
yeah,
but we are still connected, and I still
still connected.
have
Yeah,
such regard for her.
yeah.
Such a good person.
So John South, who's one of our frequent listeners, great point, John, you just made. The man who led W.T. Grant study at
Amen.
Harvard says, if you can't love, you can't
Amen.
lead.
Well, and I never knew that I was a servant leader. I learned servant leadership from my father.
Okay.
It's not a buzzword to me.
Yeah.
Agnieszka Kozorowska, one of my dearest friends in the world. She is Polish, but has a PhD in French from the Sorbonne.
Mm-hmm.
She is the best sommelier in the world, and I've known a lot of them. Agnieszka said to me, Tim, you are a servant leader. And I said, Agnieszka, what the hell is that? Because she is more of an academic and
Yeah.
she reads all the research. That's why she's so brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just live.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why am I doing this? I don't know.
Mm.
I'm doing what my father taught me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you can't love, you can't lead. And when you talk about the compliment that someone gave to you, you also talked about this person that you still stay connected with. One of the questions I would always ask people when I
Mr.
was
Lee Hong Tan.
when I was interviewing
Sorry, Lee
someone,
Hong.
I would always ask them, walk me through a scenario that someone that you worked on your last team, your last job, that you still hear from. You're not still working with them anymore, but you still hear from them from time to time.
Honestly, I have close connections with grade school, high school, P&G, IBM, Cincinnati, where we lived, New York City, where we lived, Newcastle upon Tyne in the UK. And I have friends all over the world that I have worked with.
Yeah.
Lee Hong and Agnieszka lives in Brussels, her husband, Peter. I have dear friends in Africa, in Canada, in South America.
Mm.
I'm blessed. I'm incredibly blessed.
Yeah.
With a network of people who love me.
Yeah.
But
Well,
back.
yeah. The key point I was thinking to that is that, are you building relationships with people? If you can't love, you can't lead. If you're loving the people that you're working with, you will have issues and all those kind of things. But for the most part, that grounding is there because you connect with people, and it could have been 10, 15, 20 years ago. You and I have been friends a long time. And
We connected right away.
Yeah, we connected right away. We had that so-called, I'm going to say, farewell lunch at Grand Central Station in 2006, 2007, whatever it is. But you still stay connected. And I think lots of times, so you hear the terms about being a servant leader and all these kind of buzzwords. But it comes back to what John just said. Do you love the people you work with? Sure.
Yeah.
There's some challenges that you may have from time to time.
There are people that I do not love.
Okay.
Machiavellian people.
Okay.
People who manipulated me, who hurt me deeply.
Bad leaders. Okay.
And there's only 5 or 6 or 7.
Okay.
Several in IBM, several at P&G. I'm not going to name names,
Yeah.
but that would be wrong. And there are priests who are Machiavellian, which is amazing. They're supposed to be, of course, in the Catholic Church, they're all men. And I'm Episcopalian now, and the priests are women and gay. And that's why I'm Episcopalian, because when they say everyone is welcome, they mean it.
They mean it.
Catholic Church, gay people aren't welcome.
No,
if you get divorced, you're not welcome.
okay, yeah,
It's unnatural.
yeah. So let me ask you this: you ran up the mergers and acquisition for, I think you mentioned it was
I didn't
IBM.
run it. I ran HR. I was never the leader.
Okay,
I was a leader on deals.
okay,
Deals.
you were a leader on deals. So let's talk about the leader on deals. You had a
Mhm.
major large team you're working with. How would you define your leadership style?
Hey, Bandit, would you calm down? Sorry.
That's okay. How would you define your leadership style to your team? What was that like? Like,
My
what is it like? What is it like working for Tim?
my leadership style was, what's the business objective, and what's our role in achieving it? And for HR, the objective was to treat employees who are being sold to another company well. So that means when I'm negotiating terms and conditions with an acquiring firm, for example, one of the most difficult divestitures I worked on was with a French company named Dassault. IBM was selling a unit that Dassault wanted to buy desperately. And the French don't like Americans because they're arrogant. The Americans don't like French because they're arrogant. So it was a very tough negotiation. And that was a, I don't know, $800 million deal. I don't remember, maybe $1 billion. It was giant.
Yeah.
And I was on point for HR. And we were like 10 days away from closing, in other words, being paid. And Dassault would not give on a 1 point, which was equivalent compensation for sales representatives. They disagreed with our methodology for incentives. Sellers are incented to sell, and they wanted a different arrangement. And I consulted the experts in IBM who know sales incentive design, and they said, no, it is not equivalent. And the pressure on me to just give in was immense from the deal, because the finance people said, I want the money.
Yeah.
But my boss, Lisa Blackburn, one of my favorite people ever, she said, Tim, if you know your rights, stand your ground. And I did. And 4 hours later, Dassault gave in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those employees, I'm still connected with some of those employees at Dassault who left IBM because they know I care about them.
Yeah. You exhibited that. So it wasn't just, so sometimes leaders, they give the speeches and it's all like articulate, they say all the right things, but you live, breathe, and slept that whole concept.
Yeah.
That you're going to make sure your employees.
I never gave a speech about that deal.
Yeah.
I just felt proud of what I did.
I
was relieved because I thought IBM was going to fire me. You're in the way, dude.
Yeah, we need that cash. We need that wire transfer. Let me ask you this. So you're mentioning people from the past.
By the way, Kathy Allen, Rich Arco.
Yeah.
Sorry, the maid is here. Pardon me.
Okay, that's okay. This is the first. Jim Moy, my friend from Washington, D.C., just tuned in. Jim and I had dinner this past week along with Sonny Slaughter. I was out in D.C. on business, and we had a great time together. Hey, Jim. Also, Peter Piccinini. I see Peter always says, "What a great way to start the weekend."
Yeah.
Listening to the CEO series.
He must be Italian. Italian is my favorite language.
That
Grazie mille, signore.
I think so. So let me ask you this. So you're mentioning all these people, which is what I was talking about before. Mentoring. What role does mentoring play in being an executive? What role does mentoring play even in your new role that you're still
Yeah.
people may be reaching out to you seeking advice? What role does mentoring play for?
I've had a ton of mentors, and I've been mentor for dozens of people. Let me tell one mentoring story. At my alma mater, there's a mentoring program called 100 Doors to Success,
Mhm.
started by Seamus Carey, who was then president. He's now president at Iona University in New Rochelle, a much larger and well-known university. But I took on, happily, a young man named Luke Groney, who played tennis very well and was from Cincinnati. He didn't have a lot of money, but he came to Transylvania because they had a tennis program and he wanted to play. So I'm getting to know Luke, and he wants to be big. He wants to be successful.
Yeah.
And he wanted to maybe have a life in tennis because so I arranged for him to have an internship at the U.S. Open,
Ooh.
and he was a concierge for the elite players, and he had amazing experience. He stayed in an apartment right next to ours that a friend he was in Europe on assignment, so he got the bug. He loved it. And I got him the next summer an internship with a venture capital firm.
Mm.
The CEO was on the board at Transylvania. I'm like, hey, this kid wants to do finance. He'd love to learn. So
Yeah.
we took him on. And then Luke went back home. It was in Kentucky working at a bank. And he said to me, I'm feeling the urge. So he, on his own, applied for a finance job in New York City, and he was accepted, and he lives there now.
Wow.
And the only reason why he's there, gosh, that really sounds awful. I told him he could have a bigger life. He could make a bigger impact. He never dreamed of living in New York City.
Mm. From
And
Kentucky.
well, he was from Cincinnati.
From Cincinnati. Okay.
Those who know Cincinnati, there's the west side and the
Yeah.
east side.
Yeah.
The west side is for the working class kids.
Yeah.
The east side is for the elite.
Yeah. I see.
So but he's a great human being.
Okay.
I'm still connected with Luke, no surprise.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
I love to hear stories from leaders who mentor people. In other words, you're giving back. I've been successful. I've gotten here. Let me go back and reach and do that.
Yeah.
If you were guiding a company and you were talking with the head of learning and development, and
Mhm.
and he or she came to you for advice on how do I develop the next level of leaders, what would
Yeah.
be some key pointers that you would give them
I think
to?
the best example I can immediately think of is while I was at IBM, I was one of 40 out executives, and we had led by some wonderful people, and I was given responsibility for development for LGBT talent
Okay.
around the world, and there's a lot of there's a ton of talent in that community. And I just lost my train of thought.
It's okay. Welcome to the club.
There's a mentoring. Oh, I know what it is. We had a mentoring program, and it was a very effective one. And the key to it is to care about the person and know them and do what you can to remove barriers to their success.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, And for openly gay people, there's a ton of barriers, particularly in Muslim countries where you can go to jail for being yourself.
Yeah.
We had LGBTQ people in Muslim countries, but we were very careful to make sure that they were supported.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to do a quick shout out for Yasser from Pakistan. Thanks for listening in, as well as Joel says great stuff. So we really appreciate everyone that listens into the show. So we talked about developing the next level of leaders. What competencies are important today? So, you hear about decision making and all of these business hard.
Number one is curiosity.
Curiosity. Okay.
Curiosity about the world, curiosity about people. What makes them tick? Why is a culture different? For example, there's a common expression, two countries separated by a common language, England and the US. And there are Americans who go to England and say, their food is terrible. Or what do they call a sidewalk, the pavement?
Yeah.
What do they call underwear? I forget the term. My team used to tease me all the time. Oh, pants.
Yeah.
Brits call underwear pants.
Yeah.
So at lunch, my team, Sandra Kindred, God rest her soul, Susan, Steve Duncan, Ian Dawson, they would try to catch me.
Yeah.
I said, how are your pants today? And I said, oh, they're tight. Ha, 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 ha.
Here's my thought.
These people that you love.
Yeah, I had that's an app I use called TripIt. It keeps track of all your travel. And TripIt came up the end of the year and said you've visited 14 countries, and so that resonated with me because every country or region is different. The cultural nuances.
And we have so much to learn from each other.
So much to learn from each other, but sometimes we just...
If you open your eyes and your ears and your heart.
Exactly.
Everyone, every place, every person is beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, for example, I love Latin Americans. Every meeting starts with 30 minutes of how are you and how's your family? Yeah.
Bill Collins, who was so-called the CEO coach.
Yeah.
Always use that as developing or coaching.
Yeah.
The level that he coaches is different from your executive coach. I'm executive coach, totally different. But he says always start your meeting with exactly what you're just saying. How are you as a person?
And the most moral, effective leader I have ever met in my life is John Pepper, who was the CEO at Procter Gamble.
Okay.
Now, A.G. Lafley was a great leader too, but no one approaches John. The employees at Procter & Gamble love him, and he loves them back. He cares about them. He cares about consumers because when the consumers love your products, they will buy more.
There we go.
Yeah. So Tide is the #1 detergent in the world because it works.
Yeah.
And even though it's more expensive.
Yeah.
And P&G created a fragrance-free version because some people, the chemicals in fragrance make people sick.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
But see, that comes back from listening. So you've kind of reached, I'm going to say, the pinnacle. You've gone through and you kind of looking at...
No, I haven't. I've never been a CEO. And
No. I say pinnacle of your career. You've reached the pinnacle, and now you're focusing on consulting.
Yeah.
How does Tim stay? How does Tim learn? Because learning doesn't stop.
No. So the founder and owner of Craft HR Consulting is a great guy named Drew Pollack. They do fractional HR work for small and medium-sized business. And Drew and I we met through HR circles when I moved to Asheville, which is how we say it, Asheville. And he said, I need to find something for us to work together. So
Yeah.
before COVID, it was going to be a joint leadership development program. And then after COVID, he is so busy running his business, he needed someone to promote his firm. So he said, you share the most amazing stuff on LinkedIn. Would you do that for me? So I work like 1 hour a week,
Okay.
and I just share content that I think his customers will like.
Okay.
And in the 2 years I've done it, we've gone from 300 followers to almost 2,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And he and his team provide a great service, but they're too busy
Yeah.
providing service
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
promote what they do. So I'm
Mm.
essentially a marketing arm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So if you could go back and give your younger self, a piece of advice,
Hmm.
what would that be?
Care for yourself more.
Okay.
Uh, I am obviously an extrovert, and I've spent every day of my life until this week caring for other people. I am recovering from influenza.
Mm.
I literally almost died 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
And my husband said, you need a break. You need a break from me. I need a break from you. He needs a break from me because I hack and cough and
Yeah.
expectorate, and it's gross.
Mm.
And I have never spent a day in my life by myself the last
Mm.
2 days,
Mm.
and I thought I would hate it.
Yeah.
But it has made me stop and reflect
Mm.
and give myself care.
That's a big phrase that's
Self-care,
used.
self-care. One of my favorite
Oh my
people in the world
goodness.
is Mick Johnson. He is a self-care. Um, he's taught me how to do self-care.
Mm. It's funny you mentioned that because I was reading a story on LinkedIn this morning about this professional football player who's a star. I forget now what team it was because I'm not that really into sports, not that much into sports. And he'll come off the field and he'll pick up a book and he'll read a book. He'll score a touchdown and he'll come back and he'll read a book.
Yeah.
And the gentleman was talking about it and posted it on LinkedIn was the point of reflecting. He says, I have to get away from what I'm doing and reflect, take my mind on something else to regroup and get
Yeah.
up to go back out again. And I'm like, I, in the heat of the battle, he
Yeah.
takes time for self-care because that works for him. I found that was
I've
amazing.
never done it. I thought I would hate it, and I was wrong.
Mm. I find for me, from my side, I get up early, 4:30 in the morning, five
Same,
o'clock. I'm up, regardless of where I am. I could be traveling
same,
all over the world, and I'm up and I'm thinking about the day. At
same.
the end of the day, I'm spending time reflecting on the day. How was the day? What
Yeah.
didn't work well? Oh, if I had to do that meeting all over again, what would I do that was different?
Yeah.
So
Good for you.
reflection, self-care is exactly what you said. So that would be the advice you would give your younger self. Do you think your younger self would have said, "Oh my God, this is so cool," or they
No,
would say, "Get away from me"?
but more recently, my sister, Chris, and my friend Mick have said, Tim, you need to journal.
Ah.
You need to write to yourself.
Mm.
And I'm like, So I've been journaling recently, and what I'm writing is external to my dear friends, family friends, work friends,
Yeah.
and I'm doing a daily reflection of what I learned.
Mm. Okay.
So today, I can't. What did I say today? Pause. Stop.
Okay.
I said, pray every day, not for yourself, but for other people. Take action. Take action.
Mm.
Stand up for what's right. Fight racism and homophobia and
Mm.
xenophobia
Yeah.
and all the phobias.
All the
And
phobias.
by the way,
All.
fight. One of the revelations I have had recently is, there's all this political hatred and division. And I have only recently realized, love everyone. And by the way, to liberals in America, stop saying to people who vote for Donald Trump that they're stupid. They
Yeah.
are not. Talk to them, listen to them,
Mm.
learn from them. Telling them they're stupid, you're never going to get their vote.
Yeah.
Grow up, look around you. And I'm advising the Democratic Party, hire some psychiatrists and understand the psyche
of that group. That could be an entirely different discussion, because I would flip that for that side to say listen to the other side, but we won't go there. So as we close out, I want to ask you this: our goal for the show is to bring in leaders like yourselves to discuss their journeys with all the twists and turns. So
Yeah.
give us some closing thoughts.
Stay the course. Believe in yourself. Be proud of every part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I am firmly convinced by my upbringing in the Catholic Church, which hates me.
Yeah.
I still love that church because of the gospel and the liturgy.
Okay.
The original churches had clay walls and dirt floors.
Okay.
Sure has changed from then.
Yeah.
But the church taught me to stay the course,
Yeah.
have values and live them in your life. That's my father taught me that too.
Okay.
And my mother. Yeah, I have to give mom credit.
Good.
My mother was goofy and creative. She was an art major in college, and one of the traumas of her life is with MS, she couldn't paint.
Yeah.
No fine motor control.
Yeah.
So one of my most treasured possessions is a painting that my mother did before she got sick.
And you have that now?
In a private place in my home.
Okay. Cool.
My sister and I both love it, and I've told her I'm going to have a replica made for you because she gave it to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Tim, thank you so much.
You're a brother from another mother.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but it's so good to catch up with you after all these years, almost 20 years coming up. So last time we saw each other physically. So stay in touch, and next time I'm in that area, I'll give you a call. I want you to hang on for a second. So all the people that's listening in, be sure and like, subscribe, tell your friends about the CEO series every Friday morning at 9 o'clock. As Peter always says, a great way to start the weekend. Thank you, Peter, for that quote. Yeah. Jim Moy, Yasser, Joel, John Self, thank you all for listening in every Friday, and we'll see you next Friday, same time, same place. Tim, hang on for a second.
Cheers.
Take the CEO series with you anywhere, anytime. All episodes are now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and major streaming platforms. It's not just an interview. It's a masterclass in leadership.